There's a few things you should always have with you on the road when traveling: a jump starter, an air compressor, and a flashlight. This is all three built into one. Hey, what's up YouTube? Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. We got another jump starter to look at today. This one is a jump starter air compressor combo, but it's also an emergency flashlight and a power bank. This one is from Hemingson. Let's open it up and take a look. Oh, that's a nice little case that this comes in. Now it's got a nice little user's manual and just kind of gives you some basic instruction on how to operate this. And it says here in the manual we need to charge this before the first use, so we're going to go ahead and do that. I'll take this out and get it plugged in. I'm not going to attempt to use this just yet, but I'm going to power it on and see what kind of level of charge we have. Okay, so we're at 76% right now. I'm going to plug this in and charge it completely before we use it the first time, which is what you're supposed to do. All right, so this took just a little bit over an hour to get it fully charged. It should be at 100% now. And yep, there you go, it's at 100%. I just plugged in through the USB-C here on the side, the in port. If you peel back this little rubber panel, this gives you all of the different ports. So it's got a USB-A or USB 1 out, USB 2 out, and then USB-C in. Also has a DC out plug right here as well. What we're going to do first is take a look at the jump start function, which is this little panel right here. Let's take out these jumper cables. You can see these are very heavy duty. I'm impressed with the strength on these clips. But all we need to do is plug this into the jump starter. Now this cable has some little indicator lights, and right now they're flashing red and green. That means that the jumper cable is connected. So if we connect this to the car and we get a solid green, that means that it's ready to start. If we get a solid red, that means it's overheating or low on voltage, or it's the timeout protection. If you have a solid red with beeping, it's reverse polarity protection. And if you have a solid red with continuous beeping, that means short circuit protection, which would mean that you have the clips accidentally connected to each other, or they're connected to the same piece of metal. Just for kicks, let's test that right now. Hopefully we don't fry this. You see that solid beep? That's the short circuit protection that's built into this unit. So that's pretty cool. That's a nice safety feature. Let's go hook this up to a battery and see what happens. Now this battery's not dead. It's got just over 12 volts, but let's hook up the jump starter just to see what those lights do. Green light, and it's clicking right now. That clicking in there is the relay putting power into this battery, letting us know that it's ready to start. If we needed to, we could just go ahead and start this vehicle right now. Once you do start it, it says to pull out this cable. Just pull it straight out and then disconnect the cables from the battery. Now it does say that this will start a vehicle with a gas engine up to 9 liters and a diesel engine up to 8 liters. So it's a very powerful little jump starter. The peak current is 3,000 amps. All right, well, you can see that it works just fine as a jump starter. And we'll turn it back on here. So we're dropping pretty quick here down to 86%. We did have it plugged into that battery for a little bit, and so it sucks some of the juice out of this unit. But I just also wanted to take a look at the battery function, or the power bank function. So here's just a standard USB-A to USB-C cable. Let's go ahead and plug this in here to the first port. So this first port, or USB 1, is 5 volt 3 amp, 9 volt 2 amp, or 12 volt 1.5 amp. The second port is 5 volt 2.4 amp. I'm just gonna try to charge this little flashlight that also is in its own little power bank here. Turn that back on. Let's see if that works. Yep, the light is on and it's charging and it's flashing out. Now I'm also curious if we can charge a phone at the same time. I'm gonna plug in a USB-A to an Apple Lightning cable. And then I'm going to plug this into my phone. It's charging as well. Perfect. So this will charge more than one device at a time. Now, just wanted to mention the USB-C port, that is in only. It does not work as an out. I did try a USB-C to an Apple Lightning just to test it, but it doesn't work. Well, that's pretty neat that you've got a power bank with you in the case of an emergency, or if you're stuck on the side of the road. Even if you can't jump start your car, you can still at least keep your phone charged and be able to communicate with emergency services. So let's pull these cords out here. Now I'm going to close this port here, just a little rubber flap. Same with the jump starter port, just snaps right back in. But this port right here is for the inflator. Let's pull out this little tube and screw that in. Now there's a little warning sticker here on the inflation tube. It says, caution, cool down before removing the air hose. Now most of these inflators you don't really want to run longer than 10 minutes, and some of them will actually shut themselves down if they get too hot. In order to use the air compressor function, first is just power it on, and then you need to select M for mode. See, right now it's just set up as out, as a power bank. So here, right now, when we select mode, this is to inflate. Let me turn it up here so you can see. So the mode right now, it's got a little icon of a car. If we change that, it goes to a motorcycle, a bicycle, or a ball. Now we want to change the unit of measurement. In my case, I'd like to change it to PSI. So just hit the U button over here, and that changes the unit. So now it's PSI. It's showing us that 36 PSI is the default setting for car. If you want to change that up or down, you can use the plus sign over here, or we can do the minus sign down. I'm going to go down to 32 PSI. This button over here in the middle, that's the inflator, and that's going to turn on this air compressor. It's really loud. And it displays the PSI that it currently is. So of course it's at 0 because there's no resistance in the inflation tube. And this also is going to shut off automatically at the 32 PSI that I have it set to. So I've got my 67 Cougar here in the garage. I'm going to deflate the tire first and see how long it takes to go from 0 to 20. They claim that it will go from 0 to 20 PSI in 2 minutes or less. We'll see if that works. I know we're not at a full charge anymore, but I'm going to do the test anyway. So I'm going to deflate the tire real quick, and then we'll get this hooked up and we'll set up a little timer and a time lapse and see how long it takes to go from 0 to 20 PSI, and then how much longer it will take to inflate it the rest of the way to 32. All right, I'm just gonna take this valve stem cap off, and I'm just gonna stab the Schrader valve with the little screwdriver here, and we'll drop this down to 0. Shows 0 PSI on this gauge. Let's hook it up to the tire. It's set to 32. All we need to do is hit this inflator button and the stopwatch here at the same time. Well, not quite 20 PSI in the first 2 minutes. Now keep in mind, we do have the weight of the car on this tire as we're trying to inflate it. We're also not operating with a fully charged unit. So I still think that's pretty impressive to go from 0 to 16 in the 2 minutes. Let's go ahead and power this back on. It shut off here. So let me turn it back on and we'll finish filling this up and see how much longer it takes. Well, there you go, 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go from 0 to 32 PSI. That's very impressive for this little portable JumpStarter air compressor. We also do have the USB-A to USB-C charging cable. I just use a different charge cable that I already had out, but it also comes with a couple other inflation nozzles. So you can also inflate maybe some air mattresses or pool floats, but it also has this needle so that you can inflate like a volleyball, football, or a basketball. Pretty neat to have that on hand and have it portable, or even have it with you in your car. And we've let this tube cool down a little bit. It was pretty warm when I took it off, but nothing too hot. Again, the warning on the hose says to cool down before removing the hose. I think maybe if you ran this for a lot longer, or if you were inflating more than one tire or a bigger tire, it would probably get pretty hot. I think this unit will run for 10 minutes, and then it's recommended to cool it down for 10 minutes before proceeding on to the next tire or continuing to inflate. Well, you can see we used up quite a bit of power inflating that tire and doing the jump starting. We're down to 56%. So of course we'll get this plugged in after we're done here. It is recommended that you take this out of your car and you plug it in and charge it maybe every 3 months or so. It's got about a 3-month standby time. The last feature I wanted to show you is the emergency light right here at the end. So when the unit is on, just press and hold the power button for 3 seconds and this emergency light will come on. If you hit the power button again, you can change to a different mode. It's got SOS mode. And then if you hit it again, it's got a flashing strobe. And if you hit it a third time, it will go into this warning light, just kind of like a flashing amber light. It would be great to let other drivers know where you're at. Set that out on the road, and then you hit it again and the light turns off. And the unit itself will power down if it's not being used for more than 60 seconds, like that. I would say almost all of us are gonna have to deal with a dead battery or a flat tire at one point in our life. So if you drive a car, or if you're driving or riding in a vehicle, this is an ideal thing to carry with you. I mean, you can put it in the trunk, put it behind the seat if you drive a truck. A little bit of peace of mind knowing knowing that you have the ability to not only jumpstart your car, but even pump up your tire if you get a flat. Sometimes even when you get a flat tire and you put on the spare, a lot of times the spare has gone flat from sitting for so long. So it's really nice to have something like this with you and not have to wait for roadside assistance or for somebody to come help you. If you've got regular jumper cables, that's fine too. It's a little bit risky, a little bit harder to use. You know, there is no protection there for short circuit or overcurrent. I mean, with today's modern vehicles, you can really mess up a car. You could blow the main fuse and you could even damage the computer. So having something like this with all of the protection, the overcurrent protection, the short circuit protection, it's really nice to know that that's all built in. This is just a lot easier to use than jumper cables. Also, you don't have to wait for another vehicle with a battery to hook up to. This is something you can take care of on your own. All batteries are going to die. It's just a matter of if you'll be prepared when it happens to you. And I just want to say thanks to the company Hemingson for sending this over to me. I'm very impressed with this little unit. It does exactly what it's supposed to and seems to work just fine. So I would definitely recommend you pick this up. Hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. And of course, I'll get a link in the description where you can pick up this exact same car jump starter and air compressor as well. Thanks so much for watching and good luck.